Hey dividend investors, today I'm not really talking about dividends at all. I'm talking about Bitcoin, basically the possible future of currency. And basically, if you're like me, you may not want to invest in Bitcoin with those coin apps and different websites like that because you just may not trust them, like I don't. And there is a reason for that. There's been stories of Bitcoin accounts getting hacked and things like that. Now, you may have a different opinion than myself. That's totally fine, but that's my own personal opinion. I don't want to give my SIN number over to a website that millions of people trust, but I just don't. So, how can you invest in Bitcoin on the stock market through your trading app that you're already using? Well, there's a few different ways, and of course, that's what we're going to talk about today. So there's two different ways. There's going to be companies that mine Bitcoin, and then there's also the ETF that covers Bitcoin. Yes, there's an ETF now, so it's fantastic. Let's get down and let's check these out. So the company that I personally am invested in is a company that is on the TSX, the Canadian Stock Exchange. It's Hive Technologies. Basically, they mine Bitcoin. Now, when it comes to volume, they have the volume, so at this point in time, if I wanted to get in and out quickly, or if I just wanted to sell all my shares quickly, I most likely can. They have enough volume. They're trading an average volume level of 5 million shares per day. That is a ton. But after the height of the volume, the amount of volume that they have, let's check out their 52-week range. And their 52-week range is 7 cents all the way up to $2.77 and currently sits at $2.02 a share. I got this for under $1. But so this has been a great trade for myself, and I wish I bought more than just a couple of $100 worth of shares. But either way, they seem to be the future of miners, at least when it comes to Canada. They are around the world as well, and every single time Bitcoin goes up in value, they go up in value. Every time they purchase more mining equipment, they again go up in value, which is huge. They are also trying to have a zero net impact when it comes to carbon, so they're going to be looking at solar panels and things like that, I would assume, to be able to get down to zero carbon impact or footprint, which means that free energy turns into money, which is massive. That's huge. As we can see, there's been two massive spikes. Now, why was there two massive spikes? Well, this was the initial boom when it came to Bitcoin in general, but also this was when they were purchasing a ton of mining equipment. And then Bitcoin went down, they stopped buying mining equipment, they're only buying a little bit here. That's what those little spikes were for. And of course, Bitcoin recently has exploded. They also bought more mining equipment, and that is huge. They're also pretty well at that level of support that was hit roughly about there. So what this tells me is if Bitcoin can make another run, I would assume that they could jump up to about $3 or more per share, and then at that point I would sell half of the shares that I purchased because I would have more than doubled, pretty well close to tripled, actually well over tripled my money, which means that I can sell half, the other half just run forever because at that point I don't care, I've already made my money back, and then I can invest in other things with my profit, and basically this stock at that point would be free, for me anyways. The other thing you really want to look at is their revenue, the cost of revenue, and of course their gross profit. And they have been turning a profit recently, which is fantastic. So this is what we want to see. We want to see more of that. And of course, if they can continue to grow that profit, it's going to be huge. This is going to be a great company to invest in my own personal opinion. Of course, always talk to your own financial advisors before you make any decisions. Or keep in mind, I have invested in this company, so I may be possibly brainwashed into thinking that they are great. Now, QBTC is the ETF that is going to be most likely mirroring the cost of Bitcoin. This fund is basically the same idea as GLD, and it's going to be mirroring Bitcoin. It's the first ETF that's done it, and of course I have recently invested in this fund myself. So again, keep that in mind. I may be brainwashed myself, but the 52-week range is $22 all the way up to $72, currently sitting at $49, and of course people are currently thinking that Bitcoin is going to be reaching ridiculously high costs. Keep in mind that this fund has only been around since around the end of last year. This is still a very new fund. Because it is an ETF, there is a management fee, and it is about 2% for the management fee. So for every $100 that you put into this, every year it's going to cost you $2. What you are hoping for is for you to make more than 2% every single year. As of right now, the current cost at the time of recording this video is $32,000 per Bitcoin in American dollars, which then equals close to $41,000 per coin in Canadian dollars. So by owning this ETF, you can get into owning Bitcoins for a lot less cost than having to go out and buy Bitcoin yourself, technically speaking. And what I mean by that is you can go onto those platforms that I was speaking of earlier that I don't personally trust, and you can buy partials, decimal points of Bitcoin. And yes, this can go up in cost. It does cost you to get onto those platforms. It can cost you anywhere from 1% of what you put in for them to hold your money, and it could cost as much as 6% if you use a credit card. So it's still going to be costing you money either way if you're going to be investing in a Bitcoin ETF at 2% a year, or holding your money in one of those online accounts that need information and personal information about yourself. So personally, I prefer the ETF version. You may or may not, but that is a less riskier way of holding Bitcoin than having to go out and save it onto a USB stick so that it's safe and try not to lose that USB stick, and you get the point. So personally, I prefer investing in Bitcoin this way versus going out and just buying it on a weird website type thing. So that's how I like to buy Bitcoin, and of course I hope that this has helped you buy Bitcoin yourself. If it has, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.